Now, I'd like to turn it over to two of our alums, Sarah and Isabel, and I want to thank them for joining us. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing. Um, who would like to go first?
Isabel, do you want to go first since
I was
you
gonna say,
graduated?
I was gonna say maybe if you wanted to go because you're talking more about you're kind of piggybacking on the portfolio.
Okay. Yeah, I can
How
definitely
do
do
you
that.
feel? Okay, cool.
So hi, my name is Sarah Doonan. I graduated from St. Andrews back in 2011. I then got my Bachelor's of Fine Arts at the School of the Art Institute of Chicago with a concentration in designed objects and a minor in sculpture. My sophomore year, I went ahead and transitioned fully into the design department, moving away from sculpture, but keeping that practice very close to what I was doing. So I just have a few slides of work because I'm a visual learner and I feel like it's always helpful to see visuals as well. So this first image, if we press forward.
Adobe is not liking me this evening.
All right, cool. So this was a piece from my sophomore year. It was exhibited at the New Art Dealers Alliance in New York. This was a pretty cool piece that was funded by the school as part of a portfolio-based class. And then our next piece, if we go to page 20, this is my senior thesis, essentially. These are cast bronze centerpieces. So artificial wind erosion, cast and patinated bronze, also funded by the school, and exhibited in Milan as part of Salon du Mobile back in May of 2015. And then the next three slides are basically where I took it. So in the summer of 2017, I moved to Los Angeles and started thinking, instead of pursuing a master's in design research, about the built landscape and in the urban fabric, what equity and environmental justice really meant. And so I started thinking about landscape architecture. I took a summer program at UC Berkeley's College of Environmental Design. And I did that because I wanted to make sure that landscape architecture was going to fit what I wanted and what I loved from my Bachelor's of Fine Arts with what I wish it had done a little bit more of. So this is my first project from my first year. It's a courtyard based in material. And so that was a really nice transition from my sculptural practice into designing a whole space based on one material. Our next slide, page 22, this is going to be work for my second year. This and my two partners, Natalie and Yune, were investigating how we could culturally amend ideas of sea level rise and salt intrusion in soil profiles along the Massachusetts coastline. And then my last project, my midterm from last week, was exploring the idea of cultural fire management for the reduction of megafires in Portugal. And all of these are kind of just examples of, I think, the flexibility of thought and of skills that you can get from your bachelor's. I definitely didn't stay in fine arts, but what I took from those 4 years were absolutely crucial in both the way that I see the world and the way that I've pursued how to make it better. Yeah, and I'm here for all of the questions. I have great insight on portfolios, but yeah, I'm ready for questions.
and Isabel.
Okay, hi, my name is Isabel, and I graduated from St. Andrews in 2016, and then I just finished my bachelor's degree at Seattle University, and I double majored in arts leadership and strategic communications. So when I think my artistic path looks a little bit different than most who go off to study fine arts. In high school, I kind of dabbled in a bunch of different things. I participated in filmmaking and visual arts, and and choir, and I tried everything a little bit. And I realized I was not particularly gifted in any of those fields enough to pursue that in a degree. But after taking art history with Miss Russell, I realized that I could not be away from the arts. I love to be immersed in that world. And so that led me to think about applying for art history in the different colleges that I was applying for. And that I also really wanted to be in the Pacific Northwest. I applied to some other local colleges as well, but I mainly visited Seattle and Portland and fell in love with Seattle University. And it wasn't until I met with a representative who visited Austin. We met at Mozart's and had a talk. It probably looks a little bit different now via Zoom, but he told me about the kind of like recent program called Arts Leadership that was established as an MFA program at my school for a while, but they had just introduced an undergrad program. And so he was like, it sounds like you really love the arts and want to work in the arts, but you don't really know where you fit in. And that's where this program could really help. And so I was like, that sounds amazing. And so I definitely, just some advice to take from that is definitely talk as much as you can with representatives, because at the end of the day, like there might be a new program or something on campus that they don't talk about in the general tours or the general info pages. And so that's how I found my program. And I think it works really well paired with other majors. If you're interested in working in the arts, but maybe want to do in-house communications for a nonprofit arts organization. I kind of used it as my main major, but it's also offered as a minor. So there are people in my cohort who were, theater majors, or they also majored in fine arts. And so that was really, I think, a really good pairing for them, just because in arts leadership, you learn how to do marketing in the arts and you take an arts law class and things like that. And then you can also apply those to yourself. So you learn how to write your own mission statement as an artist. You can learn how to, sell your art or work for a production company or anything in between. And so I think that I wish going through the application process that I had explored a little bit and looked at different programs. I know there are a lot of schools in the US who have kind of arts management programs, entertainment management, and also just like looking at things like advertising, which I didn't really realize is a creative field until, I doubled that communications degree and I was like, oh, I can do both of these things and still like be surrounded by the arts, still participate in arts programs and things like that. And I guess just like, as far as advice on how to pursue a degree in the arts over Zoom, I know it's kind of daunting because a lot of fine arts is a very physical thing. It's drawing, painting, acting, and it is scary, but I think that now is as good of a time as any to really like find ways to express yourself and different ways to be creative and think outside the box. I completed my last trimester only online. And so that definitely looked a little bit different for me. But I was still able to, my senior thesis, I was able to combine my majors and write my own podcast, a 4-episode podcast. And so I was like, oh, I learned a little bit more about technology and how to, host a podcast over the phone and things like that. And so I still found that it was a really great creative outlet for me. And I know it seems a little scary, but I just say if you're passionate about something, go for it. If you really love the arts, we'll all find a way to persevere and like express ourselves. And so if you have any questions, let me know. Thank you so much.
Thank you very, very much, Isabel.